We cannot lie and discount the fact that the online coaching space has gotten harder to market to, it's more competitive, more expensive to acquire a client, and everyone with thousands of testimonials and huge authority is telling you to do one thing while they do another. So how do you actually compete with these people, let alone steal traffic from them? Well, realistically, it's only difficult if you've been using the old way of trying to acquire clients. Therefore, after you use this strategy that I'm going to share in this video, you will be able to build client attracting systems so good, it feels like you're manipulating people. And we cannot deny that as the coaching market or the online service-based business market expands, it becomes harder and harder to get clients, especially if you're competing with monsters who have 100x the budget or who have 100x the authority. And the sad truth is that if you cannot effectively, predictably, and consistently attract high intent, high quality buyers to your coaching business every month, every week, or every day, then the only path for your business to take is to the dumps, while someone who does figure this out is going to swallow you whole and steal your clients. So if you don't want to have to go through this entire process again to reposition against someone who's less qualified than you, you need to watch the end of this video. Now, the two worst things that I see happen, and by the end of this video, we'll get out of that, is hot and cold cycles and the dead zones, where you can't break past that 5K a month mark. And it feels more expensive to break past it, either by spending more money so it's not profitable or by doubling your hours. So as more and more people come into the space, the amount of ads and content our dream buyers see increases exponentially, which just turns it into pattern recognition in the eyes of our dream buyers. The brain works on shortcuts, and once they pick up on a pattern that they hate, they assume the one that showed them that pattern is now also in that bucket of not being liked. So if you're copying everyone else, or you sound like everyone else, or you don't have a unique lens or position, then they're just going to group you in the bucket as every other coach. And that's not what you want in 2026. So doing what everyone else is doing gets you ignored. And not only do you need to think outside the box, you need to understand how the brain actually makes buying decisions so you can attack these trigger points in the brain to make you more desirable and to start signing more clients predictably at first sight with your ads. And it's the difference between the type of business owner that can scale to 100K months and attract dream clients no matter what happens to the market versus the business owner that lies to everyone, telling people that they are successful, when in reality they're trying to keep their head above water every single month. Paul D. McLean, and I hope I'm not butchering that, came out with a study in 1960 where he said the human brain works in three components. The reptilian brain, made for survival, keeping us alive back when we would hunt lions and other big game. The limbic system, emotions and memory. And the neocortex, logic, and higher order thinking. This is fucking terrible. We do not want to even worry about this point and avoid it at all costs, because the brain makes decisions and filters information rapidly, which means that if you're not doing anything to tickle the parts of the brain that keep the prospects around, they will go to someone that will. And to do that, you really need to stay away from the logic side of the brain. When I see ads that speak logically, I know they aren't performing. Yes, it all makes sense, but they won't actually move the needle and get someone to buy from you. But when you talk to the emotional side or the reptilian side of the brain, that's when your systems actually do their job. So when the logical side of the brain is triggered, bad, they cross-reference every other ad they saw, the patterns they see on a daily basis from other coaches, gurus, and they place you in that same bucket as everyone else. And you're labeled as just another option and not someone who can solve their specific problems and get them to the result that they want to get to at a faster or easier rate. And this is just what trust is. So if you don't do this, they don't show up to calls, they haggle price, and they tell you that they still need to think about it by the end of the call. And that's even if they do move forward from your ad. It's also why value content doesn't convert, because they see you as the free option and not someone who's worth paying. You actually collapse the gap that would push them towards the action of speaking with you and buying from you. And that's by far the most important gap to keep open. This is also why traditional lead magnets and PDFs are dying. Because for that gap to keep open, where they have the information and they know where the information can get them to, they don't actually know this entire process of how to get there and close that gap. So you want to keep that open so that they can only get it from you. So to get them to really convert, you need to spike emotional desire that positions you against all other competition as the true solid solution to the problem that they're actually facing. Now, the coaches who use emotional triggers in their ads, content, sales calls, are the ones that get to build systems that sign clients every single day from people who aren't asking for what's the guarantee. And they aren't capped by plateaus, algorithm changes, and they know if they put in $1, they're gonna get $3, $5, or $10 back every single time. So what I did was I put this into my entire $20 a day ad strategy that scaled me to $30,000 a month in 30 days of launching this. because it came down to the messaging of the ads and what I was actually portraying in the ads that got someone to act for the reasons why they should be working with me. So I fully believe that if you put this into a cold traffic client attraction system, you can take over markets overnight and then use the same systems in your organic to continue the reprogramming. So to rewire the brain to stop thinking logically, even though people have heard the horror stories of working with a coach or an online guru or anything else in the space, you need to create a position for yourself and a message that gives you the edge and triggers the emotional drivers in a 30-second ad. Now, there are hundreds of drivers we can leverage and we don't use all of them in one ad. We either pick one or we pick a few, and then we write the message around it, and then we test it again and again and again. Now, what I see most people do is they try and position themselves as just another coach. Because what, they're just automatically better? No, that's not how it works. No one's going to actually understand that, because you have to remember, people are intelligent and people are dumb. They don't know how to solve their own problems, because if they did, they wouldn't be here, and they're not going to look any deeper. So you have to effectively communicate why they should be working with you. Now, if you position yourself correctly, you can create your own market of one. That's how all these people blew up. And even if you don't have a lot of authority or 1,000 testimonials, you can still use these tactics to create this position of one. And the easiest way to create a new position for yourself is to create a new lens. What's something that you fully believe in the market for your mechanism, for your offer, that goes against what most people say? The easiest way to position is to go against something else and build the position. Breaking a common belief or consensus is the perfect way to actually position yourself. Talk about inside authority from your own experience and use outside perspectives to bring into the market to amplify your point. And if you want a cheat code for this, have fun in your ads, have fun in your content, and have fun in general. It will eventually come to you, because the more you sit here and think about everything, the more you're actually going to clog your brain and overthink, and you're going to lose all momentum. This is exactly how Shelby Sapp found her gap in the market to plant her flag and position herself as the authority. She took a saturated space and she made it her own, which was the high ticket sales community, which was saturated with guys, and it had this entire stigma around what it was, and she brought it as a girl's girl perspective, and that's how she planted her flag. VSL Queen, another great example. She did the same thing with ads, with marketing, with VSLs, with messaging, and she put very attractive women in those ads and sold to business owners in the package of, we're going to put attractive females in your ads because sex sells. That was her positioning. Sex sells, and an attractive woman will always get more eyeballs, especially in a male-dominated market, which is the online entrepreneurial space. Now, this brings me to exactly how you can implement these strategies right into your business, and how I was able to run ads at $20 a day and sign high-ticket clients despite what everyone said of, you need fancy ads, a long funnel, you need to run this funnel, you need to spend $100 a day, you need to do an application, you need to do this, that, run a course, whatever it was. And I was able to do this at $20 a day. Simple, straight to the point funnel. And to cold traffic, by the way, people who've never seen me. But before we get into it, there are hundreds of triggers that we can use. But we only want to use one or two in our ads. And the triggers that I like to use are fear and loss aversion, because people are more likely to move away from pain than they are to desire. But the only thing is, you have to be careful here, because most people, when they move away from pain, they move to something easier, which usually isn't to their goals, because reaching your goals is hard. Then we have greed and desire. Everyone likes to say, what's in it for me? What do they actually want? They're greedy. They only care about them. This is basic human nature here. Ego and identity. No one is going to go against how they fully believe about themselves. If you fully believe that you are a high-level business owner, then anything that challenges your identity is going to feel uncomfortable, and you're going to move in the direction that fits with your identity and your ego and your pride. Unity. Unity is the group, the tribal language. What are more people like me doing? It's just following the crowd. Authority bias. In and out. If you can solve one specific problem for someone, then they're going to fully believe that you can solve multiple other problems for them. And this is probably one of the biggest drivers. If you didn't have anything else and you just used authority bias and just used authority from your own clients, your own business, your own stories, and from outside perspectives, you will sign clients. Anger, creating an enemy, create something to go against, make people hate. Everyone's done this against gurus. Gurus have always been the enemy. And then you also have contrast. Something that is completely out of the blue, the brain cannot process it fast enough. These are the same triggers that were used in some of the greatest sales letters of all time, where the only way that you could actually get someone to interact with anything was if they deliberately read it in the newspaper, or you sent them a letter and got them to open it You couldn't just flash a few images on the screen and get someone to stop scrolling. People had to deliberately do more actions to even get into the right mindset of buying. And luckily for you, you don't have to go read them, depict them, or scour YouTube for 4 days after this to put the piece together, because I did this, is what this video is about. So when you can create a message to your market with the core concept around 1 or 2 of these triggers without sounding like you're forcing it, which I see happen a lot, you can be the popular kid in the online space because you can create such a cult-like following with your message that people flock to you. I use 3 different tools that pair with my positioning that me and my clients are using to attract dream buyers to our offers. And they are situational messaging, situational avatars, and then the unique mechanism. Now, this allows us to create gaps in the market where we can fill, and as the market becomes more and more saturated, beliefs dwindle, trust dwindles, we can still stay in that gap to where we're still establishing trust faster than ever. And this is getting the way we want to hide the logic side of the brain, because logic will subconsciously position you as the same or give you any other reason to not move forward. Because again, people already in pain want to move away from pain, and working with someone is going to be more pain. And I'll use a fitness coach as an example. Someone who's already fat, lazy, and probably can't walk, knowing that they have to not only spend money at the gym, but they also have to go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week to lose weight is harder than just staying fat. But if you can position yourself as it's actually easier to go through all that than to stay the same, you win clicks every single time. Now, if we go really in depth here, my unique mechanism is neuromarketing. Getting into the subconscious mind to trigger the emotional side of buying decisions, which basically has prospects pre-sold that we are the ones that they can trust and that they want to work with us. Now, the second one I use is situational messaging. This is also how you attract quality leads that you can relate to position yourself. Not by calling out someone making 10K per month, but relating to them, their situation, what they're going through, experiencing, beliefs, talking to that. And the last one that I use is the situational avatar. The avatar isn't a niche. The avatar goes back to situational messaging. Talking to one person in one situation is going to attract a lot more people that are more qualified, that aren't going to ask for guarantees, because like I said, not a lot of people know how to solve their own problems. And if you can articulate their problems better than they can, you will win them over every time, as opposed to someone who just makes a better offer. Because we're not in an offer market anymore. We're in a me market, which basically means that you have to sell your clients on you as opposed to your offer. Now, when you put all 3 of these things together, you have people who are willing to pay you and get resourceful if they don't have the money up front to actually work with you, because they know that if they don't work with you, their pains are still going to be there. And the only way that they're going to solve that is if they actually work with you, because either you've already solved it, you know what they're doing, they just trust you. And they feel like it's going to be an easier and more secure way to get to their desired result with you instead of figuring it out themselves. And this is how you make a competitive advantage in the market to where it goes back to your positioning of how you can position against everyone else, against people who have 10 times the authority, 10 times the budget, and actually start signing predictable, qualified leads every single day. And this is how I built my entire $20 a day ad strategy that printed me $30K in new revenue in a single month of running this. Now, I told you in the beginning of this video that by the end of this video, you are going to fully understand how the brain works and how to use it in your marketing. So you have 2 options here now. You can go use this and implement it yourself, which is completely fine. Or you can book a one-on-one call with me that is no obligation. It is completely fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over exactly how to use this kind of stuff in your offer. And this is what I talk about with a lot of my clients. How to use neuromarketing, how to write better ads, how to make better client attraction systems that build trust without long-form funnels, big VSLs, but really keeping marketing simple so that you can create a lean team and get to $50,000 or $100,000 months with you, maybe a VA, and a client success manager. So you have a lot more margins and it scales smoothly and predictably. So if you want to just talk about all this and you want to see how I can help you, just book a one-on-one call with me, no obligation. So if you want to see how this works and how I can actually help you implement this into your business, then book a one-on-one call with me.